All right, good morning, good afternoon, depending on wherever you are joining us from. And at any point, this broadcast is going to reach you. Once again, my name is Olawale Ajishafe. And this moment, we want to consider a very amazing topic that I know for sure that is going to do you good because there are moments of our life where certain things change our trajectory. So this conversation is one that I believe, if you get it clearly, is going to impact on your journey positively. And I title it in a way, I describe it as navigating life crossroads. Navigating crossroads. You can title it anyway, but what is important is to get the central idea. For instance, for those of you who drive, you know that when you are moving on a highway, there are moments you get to intersections where you can either turn to the right, turn to the left, or continue on the straight path. Those points are literally example of what we can describe as crossroads. But when we now bring it to real life situations, so when we talk about crossroads, those are the points in our lives where we need to make critical decisions. And amazingly, where we have more than one option to consider. So that is exactly the simplest way to view the definition of a crossroad, such that you have the option that is more than one, and all of them are appealing to you. So how do you navigate those kind of moments? All right. So that's what we are considering today. I was speaking with some friends some times ago, and I remember telling one of them that, do you know that the reason why we don't trust our decision most of the time is because we don't trust our knowledge. But as we continue in the class, we will really get clearly what I mean by that. At the elementary phases of our lives, or at the elementary phase of our lives, all of us know how to make choice between good and bad. That's easy for anyone to do. You don't need a lot of exceptionality. You don't need too much of intelligence. You don't need to be above average to choose between good and bad. But as we move on in life, we get to major points, major junctions, where you have to make choice between what is good and another one that is good. Sometimes between what is good, what is better, and one that is the best. So at that level, where everything looks so positive, how do you make the right choice? So that is where the conversation today will be applicable. So you don't really need to be taught. If you can differentiate between what is right and wrong, you want to go for the one that's the right thing, right? So at that level, where you have options that are appealing to you, how do you? I remember in 2018, I just finished our National Youth Service in Nigeria. I finished that in 2017. So I got a job with a commercial bank in Nigeria, and they asked me to. I was the one who applied for the job, went for the interview, all of that. Then the moment they asked me to start onboarding some documents and to go for medical, I decided not to take the offer. And the reason why I did not take the offer is because I just asked some questions, which I will teach you how to ask those questions today. The moment I was giving answer to those questions, the choice of accepting that offer did not measure up to a reasonable gauge on my score sheet. And as such, I had to cancel out that option. Meanwhile, at that point in time, I really needed the money. And this is not in any way to tell anybody that probably just got a job that you should turn it down. Pay attention. Some of the things that are right for you may not be right for other people. That it is good for you does not mean it is good for others. And that it is not good for someone else does not mean it is bad. It just means it's not good for you. You are not everybody. Everybody is not you. So maybe let us take it further from there. That any point in our lives where we have anything that can be described as crossroad, it is a manifestation or revelation of knowledge gap. Again, I take that again. Crossroads are manifestations or revelation that there is a gap in knowledge. If you are driving on the highway and you know exactly the road that leads to your destination, I hope you know you have naturally overcome the confusions that other people who may be plying the same route will be having. The reason why that will not be a challenge to you is because you know where you are going, and probably by intelligence or through use, you've been going through that route and you know exactly how to get there. So, but it becomes confusing the moment you don't know the exact way that leads to that place. But in our days, we use what we call Google Map. So it means at every point in our life's journey, when we get to major crossroads, there are intelligence that we can incorporate like Google Map to know exactly where to turn to with precision, not guesses. With what? Precision and not guesses. Because a lot of times people want to guess the moment they are not certain of what to do. Because at crossroad, many of the things we are facing, they come with a lot of uncertainty. So because you are not certain if this thing I'm about to do is the right thing, just say, I want to dump the consequence, let me just do anyone. That is guessing. But you can be precise and you can be accurate. Like I said, every form of crossroad is a manifestation, right? Or revelation of knowledge gap. And when I say knowledge gap, knowledge of what precisely? Knowledge of what? And you can write this down if you are the kind that takes notes, because it's going to be detailed conversation. So that is full of value. The first one on my list here, not in any particular order, but I try to also make a better arrangement of them, is what I describe as the knowledge of value. As the what? The knowledge of value. The moment we have options, how to know which one to go for is if we can identify not just the surface value but the intrinsic value of what the options we have. I was speaking in a place sometimes back and I asked them, it was just a verbal conversation for me, that if I present to you 1,000 naira and $1,000, which one will you be going for? If I just say pick anyone, it was easy for everyone there to respond that they were going to choose $1,000. And I asked them, why are you choosing $1,000? Everybody said, we all know that dollar is more powerful, right? Or more valuable, as the case may be, than naira. I said, all right. What if I introduce a British pound to this same equation, such that you have a naira and you have a dollar, you have a pound, British pound this time around, and the number of people who could respond reduced. Are you getting what I'm saying? Why it reduced was because some of the people in attendance didn't know which one is more valuable between a pound and a dollar. And exactly what exactly was many people trying to do? They try to check through Google and other sources to confirm which one is more valuable. Pay attention. At the level of naira and dollar, it was easy for everybody. Basic information, general information. That is how common sense functions. The moment we elevated it to another level, the number of persons who could make the right choice reduced. So life does not offer you options at elementary level. It offers you options at elevated level, so that if what you are functioning with are basic elementary knowledge, you just fall flat, or you make the wrong choice, or you guess your way to the next level, and it may not be funny. So as I introduced that, people who went to check and those who knew exactly what was going on said they were going to choose British pound. I said, all right, interesting. I said, what if I introduce, I think there's a currency called CFA. I said, what if I introduce CFA? Virtually everybody became quiet. Guess what? It was not as if the same enthusiasm, the speed, the energy, the gusto with which they were responding had disappeared. No, but because I introduced something they were not familiar with. So there were they wondering, I don't even know what this guy was talking about. So every time you are contemplating on options to make, is because the options available, you lack the knowledge of the intrinsic value of those options. That's number one. Then number two is what I describe as the knowledge of times and seasons. I can do a whole symposium on times and seasons because that is critical. There is a statement that is common in my mouth for many years. I used to tell people that each second in life does not have equal significance. I repeat, each second in life does not have equal significance. There are 30 minutes of your life that if you seize the moment well, they can set your trajectory on a positive pedestal for the next 20 years. And there are 30 minutes of your life such that if you blow it away, now there's no moment of our life we are supposed to blow away because Kairos moment does not come with announcement, so to speak. All right, but there are moments that if those moments are just there, the implication may not be that weighty. The reason is because time is different from seasons. Maybe I should take my time for those who are not familiar with this. A lot of people might have learned one thing or the other about this. When we talk about time, you can look at time in terms of chronos. Chronos means the time is 8 p.m. Central Time. The time is probably 2 a.m. West African Time. Are you seeing that? The time is this in whatever time zone you are using. That is chronos. But when we now talk about kairos, that one is not a function of what time we have, maybe morning, afternoon, or night. We are talking about what are we supposed to be doing now? What exactly is the significance of this moment in the grand scheme of things? So when you read the scripture in Ecclesiastes where it's saying, for everything on earth there is a time and a season. There is a season, right? A time to plant and a time to harvest. You can't plant every time. If you are planting your seed when people are harvesting, if it's not the right time for it, you are making a right commitment, but in the wrong time. It's not going to produce. So the idea of season is to know what ought to be done at that point and be able to do it. That is you maximizing your season. Because when you get it right at seed state, at harvest season, you cannot be found wanting. But if you miss it at seed state, it's only mercy of the Lord that can help you to have something, when other people are harvesting. So the lack of the knowledge of time and season is part of what characterizes Crossroads. And how do I mean? For instance, I asked some people in Nigeria, that's where I'm from, right? And I said in 1985, there were people who had the opportunity to get something financially small, but in terms of physical cash, and with the option of being given a land or a plot of land in an area called Ibejuleki. But probably because of that momentary gratification, so to speak, they might have gone for the money. That's an hypothetical example. I'm not saying something that really happened. It might have happened, but I'm not aware. Now, what will make a man in 1985 to go for a plot, to go for, let's say, 200,000 naira then, or whatever is equivalent to 200,000 of now, that year rather, at the expense of taking a plot of land, is because such an individual lacks the knowledge of times and season. Because fast forwarded to the current day, the same plot of land probably that was worth 250,000 that time, or whatever the price, is now worth 25 million. So if you are only able to assess the value of something without going into the season of that thing relative to the future, your choices a lot of time will be wrong. So times and season. And the third one is what I describe as the knowledge of agenda. And I would like that to sink in very well. I describe it as the knowledge of agenda. Let me be very clear to you that the entire system of this world is premised and being programmed and being executed and exemplified under different hidden agenda. And some of these things are not obvious to the physical eyes. That is the worldly system. You may be the one in a room without an agenda, but I want you to know that the people you are dealing with, each of them are bearing different agenda on their hearts. So when you get to the negotiation table, you don't look at only what you are going to benefit. You need to check if I'm going with this juicy option supposedly, am I not going to lose more than I'm going to gain in the long run? Because you look at something not just in the momentary, satisfaction you feel you can derive from it, but you need to check it. There are what I call filters. You need to run all your options through to reduce them to make the best option. We will get there in the part B of this discussion, but I'm still talking about different knowledge gap that bring us to crossroads. So, and I've spoken about knowledge of value, the knowledge of times and season, and now I'm talking about the knowledge of agenda. Now, for instance, I made a post on a social media platform in 2023 where I said to people that they should greet everything and everybody coming to their spaces newly with suspicion. And somebody reached out to me that, and you call yourself a pastor, you call yourself a Christian, and you are advocating that people should be greeting situations, greeting opportunities, and all of that with suspicion. I said, well, I don't care what you feel about what I've said, but I said so, and you can do with my information whatever you like. Are we together now? So the whole idea is that many things, they are not, somebody said something that I love. I hope I will remember now. The man said that the water is calm does not mean there are no crocodiles beneath. I'd like you to let that sink deeply. Do you understand what that means? It means the moment you judge something by the way it appears, you have missed the reality. So when you don't know the agenda that is hidden or that characterize the options you have, you may not be able to know the right choice to make. Let me be very fast now. And the fourth one on my list there, I call it I describe it as the knowledge of consequence. The knowledge of what? The knowledge of consequence. When we talk about the knowledge of consequence, is simple. For every action, there is an equal but opposite reaction. Those are is it the Newton law of motion this time around? But if we bring it to real life situation, let's leave sciences alone for now. I'm not saying we should dwell away with the knowledge of science. I'm just trying to be practical with you. Science is practical too, so everything then all join, right? If you are dealing with something, let it be very clear to you that every choice you make, every decision you make, every step you eventually accept to take, every adventure you decided to undertake, there will be consequence. So while you can have the option of choosing what the actions are, you are not the one that will determine the consequence. So we choose consequences the moment we make choice. It's like the two sides of a stick. When you hold one part and you take it up, you are automatically going to lift the other side. So what you do with side A, that's what you are going to get at the B side. So, but because people a lot of time cannot tell what will be the consequence of this action, that's the reason why they just make choices. And sometimes with best effort, under whatsoever you call best analytical tool that you have adopted, you may still not have made the right choice. So, and so on and so forth. So these are the gaps that leads to people or any of us experiencing crossroad. Now, having said all of that, how do we now reduce the options that lead us to crossroad in life? Because the moment you reduce the option, for instance, humorously, I was joking with a friend. I said, if you have just one pair of trousers, you are not likely going to have a challenge as touching what to wear on a Sunday morning. After all, it's only one. It's like a man who has only one pair of suits. You are either going to put it on that very day or not. But when you have like 25, that's when you can be thinking, which one am I going to use? Which one am I not going to use? So when you pass all the options you have through the following filters I want to give you now, you'll see that a lot of those options begin to fall off. They will not be able to enter the final stage. And that's why life will not be very difficult. Because every one of us will get to a crossroad at one point or the other. But I'm saying, if you increase in knowledge where it matters, a lot of things that are constituting a crossroad in your lives now, they will just be normal life experience because they are not going to pose any threats to you or any form of concern. Are we together now? So the first filter you need to pass every option you have through is what I call the filter of purpose. I know we have had a lot about purpose, but if you don't know your personal purpose on earth, I bet you lack what it takes to differentiate between opportunity and distraction. Because if you are not a purposeful person, a lot of stuff that naturally will not be consistent or may not give you opportunity to give expression to your purpose, they may look promising at surface level. So everything that comes to you, take them through the filter of purpose by asking this question: what role will this thing play in terms of enhancing my position to fulfill my purpose? Is it going to support it or hinder it? Including the choice of marital partners. Maybe as a young lady, you have 15 young godly men or guys trying to ask for your hand in marriage. And you're like, I've been trusting God for a marital partner. Now those who are coming, they are all good guys. I don't even know which one to go for. Then, who among them, if you have found your purpose, do you think can be a cover unto you and you will not be out of purpose? The same thing, career, the choice of the kind of jobs you want to do, the choice of the location you want to live in. Talk about it. When you pass many things through the filter of purpose, a lot of things will fall off. Then number two, I describe it as the filter of core values. The filter of core values. If you are a person who does not stand for something, then you will fall for anything. And how do I mean? If you will live a life that will make meaning, everyone who is closer to you or have the opportunity to observe you must be able, without you saying it, know the values on which your life is angulated. So if you are a person of integrity, you don't need to be shouting all around. Your actions, your decisions, the testimonials from the people who have dealt with you or that you have dealt with will speak volumes in that regard. So when you have option, maybe somebody is inviting you to come and be a partner in a business venture, and on the first day of you meeting together, now you may be a godly person,